Welcome to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
And I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
Great to be with you again.
You too, my brother. Good to be here with you.
It's going to be a great show on today.
I believe we have one of the phenomenal pastors in our city.
Yeah.
Doing great things. One of the fastest growing churches, probably within the last 5 years.
Yeah, across the region.
Yes, so we're going to see what she has to say. Great book, Living Through Transition, the outcome of it all. And so we're going to see what she has to say about it. Being a pastor and an author, that's a dynamic approach to ministry.
Yeah, you know, Pastor Kim, in her book, she talks about the ups and the downs of transitions. And we all go through transitions.
Yeah, and I think she tries to teach us that we cannot defy the law of gravity. What goes up sometimes has to come down.
Yeah, and hopefully back up again.
Yeah.
And certainly we're glad that you're here with us again on today. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and the WHMB TV 40 YouTube channel and subscribe there and watch this program and others that you might have missed. Also, be sure to mark your calendar to watch us every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. and on Wednesday nights at 11 o'clock p.m. We've had a lot of great guests.
Yeah, we have, and she's just one of them that we're going to add to the list today.
Yeah.
And I think that's phenomenal to have such a great pastor in our city come and sit and talk with us.
Yeah. And she is certainly not just a great pastor, but a great wife and mother as well.
Yeah, she has a great personality. She's has it all across the board.
Yeah. So stay with us. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I want to welcome to our show our esteemed guest, Pastor Kim Outlaw.
Well, thank you so much for having me here.
Happy to be with you, Ms. Outlaw.
Thanks for agreeing to come.
Absolutely.
So, very proud of the work that you're doing here in the city of Indianapolis and being the senior pastor of the Living Waters Fellowship Church.
Thank you.
And, of course, Pastor Steve Outlaw.
Yeah.
And the partnership that you all have that have been a blessing to a lot of people.
Amen. Amen. He's awesome. I think I'll keep him for another 20 years.
Yeah, and you know, in the time that I've known you, you have said that you told God it's 20 and out. And you're almost halfway there.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
These 8 years have flown by. Yeah, it's amazing. They went by so fast. So I still have 12 more to negotiate with God to see if he's going to let me out of the contract.
Didn't feel like you're going to get out of it, does it?
It doesn't. No, sir, it doesn't.
And before we get into talking about what precipitated your desire and call into pastoral ministry, Living Waters Church is doing some great things with regard to helping the folk in Haiti.
We are. We have partnered with Convoy of Hope and also with Eastern Star. I traveled back there to Haiti because I'd been there before, but I traveled back there in December of 2016. And God had impressed upon our hearts to help resurrect Haiti. And so that's what we're doing. We will be raising at least $50,000 in the month of this month, actually, beginning March 19th through April 16th. And so we're going to give a one-time payment of $50,000 to Convoy of Hope in helping resurrect Haiti. Yeah, so
certainly need a lot of help there.
They need a lot of help there. Yeah, they need our help.
Yeah.
So
They've been recovering for some time now.
they've been recovering.
I've had an opportunity to do some Haiti work, some work in Haiti, and it's always work to be done in Haiti.
Yeah.
And it's good to know that people like you are stepping up to commit to that kind of work. That's what we need people to do.
We're thankful for the opportunity to partner with Convoy of Hope.
All right, so 8 years.
Yes, 8 years.
Kind of share with us what it has been like to be senior pastor of a church that is not just a church, but a church that has been rapidly growing spiritually, numerically, and financially.
Well, I'm very humbled, first and foremost, that God would use me in this capacity. It's nothing that I ever dreamed about. It's nothing I ever desired. But I'm thankful that he's using me in this capacity, and I couldn't really dream of doing anything else than serving people. So, yes, 8 years, it has been tremendous. We've had tremendous opportunities. The growth has been really fast. And so with more comes more. And so if you get more people, you have more challenges to some degree because you want to make sure you're serving the people well. And so it's been an incredible journey. It's been an incredible journey. There's been ups and there's been downs.
Yeah.
But it's been great overall.
Now,
Yeah.
and saying that there's been ups and downs, is that what precipitated the book?
I would like to say yes, but that's not totally true.
Okay.
My husband sold my house, and that initiated the writing of the ups and downs of transition.
Did you know he was going to sell the house?
Well, I really did. We really were in agreement about the selling of the house until I had to move out of the house.
Yeah.
And so then it became, you sold my house, you know? So I never thought that just moving out of a house would cause me to go through a major transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you say in the book, often during a transition, life gets harder
Yes.
before it gets easier.
Yes.
And
yes.
there are people who are watching today,
Yes.
and perhaps they're going through a transition. So perhaps
Yes.
if you could encourage them.
Yes, because you can start off on the road of change, and you could see ahead somewhat to know that the change is ultimately going to work for your good, and you can be all for it. But then when you get in the process of change, it becomes hard. I thought I could make this adjustment easily, only to find out that I had some more growing to do. I had some more developing to do, that I was not as strong in a particular area as I thought I was. So it was a real challenge for me. It was hard for me. But even in that, even in the place of hardship, I got to know me internally even more. So I would just encourage anybody. I say, live through it all. I say that's the subtitle of the book, Live Through It All, so that you don't die in the process of change and transitioning. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. You hear a lot of people start out one way.
Yes.
As soon as they get on the road, detour signs, the chuck holes,
Yes.
trying to get to that goal
Yeah.
has tendency to put people in a place to where they become despondent to what's going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you made mention of don't die in the process, which is chapter 2. And being able to survive that
Yes.
by finding stability in God. And I'm paraphrasing a particular
Yes.
sentence, but being centered in God and stabilize your perspective.
Yes, because I had to learn how to live out the scripture that says, be content in whatsoever state you're in. And I remember clearly walking down the hallway in the small house that we had to go to temporarily until we moved into the dream house. And so when we sold our house, when he sold our house, and we had to move to the temporary house, I had to not lose myself. I really felt that I was losing me in the process of this change because it was demanding something different of me. And so I really thought I was losing me, and I had to make sure that I created outlets for me not to lose me, because I tend to think that I am the center of my world, and if I don't know where I am, I can't help anybody else find out where they are.
Right.
Yeah, so I had to make the adjustment, and I really had to seek God. I know it sounds crazy. People say it was just a house. It was, and that was my mentality at first. But it really wasn't about the house. It was really a setup that God was showing me that I had to evolve and grow in this certain area in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Growth is so important.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
important, and if we don't embrace it,
yeah,
we have more difficulties than we do in the process of getting where we need to be.
yeah.
In chapter 3, you talk about kind of going back
Right.
and using
Yeah.
some of your past success and or failures to help you move forward. Or in other words, you talk about it's working for you.
Yeah.
And we're cliche sometimes, and in scripture, of course, we say all things work together
Yes,
for good.
yes,
So you talk about it's working for you, and a lot of times when people are going through things,
Yes.
they think it's working against them.
because it feels that way. It feels like it's working against you. For me, we did not have to sell our house. This isn't a transition that we had to make. Some transitions you just have to make. But this is not one that we had to make. We chose to make this transition. And so I did not expect to feel the way that I felt. I didn't expect to have the type of headaches that I literally had, or even some of the emotional roller coasters that I found myself on. I didn't expect to have any of that. And it didn't feel like it was working for my good, you know, but it was. It was, because when it was time to transition out of that place into the next place, God had worked on me so much that I could have stayed there. I was all right.
And let's put a pin right there,
Okay.
because we want to hear about how God worked on you.
Yeah. Well,
And we want you to stay right there. We got to go to break.
okay.
Well, you're getting warmed up.
She's
so
being pastor now.
stay right there. We'll come back in a minute.
All right.
Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices, and we are here with our esteemed guest, Pastor Kim Outlaw.
So thankful to be here.
Yeah, and just before the break, you were getting into talking about how God was working on you.
Yes. In the process of the transition, he was teaching me faith yet and still, to really how to trust him even more so in an uncomfortable place. A lot of times we're able to trust because we're comfortable. But when you're uncomfortable and you have your credit, it wasn't a thing for us that we didn't have the credit to buy the next house. We had the money, God had positioned us financially to buy the next house, but we couldn't find it. Nothing was appealing. So he was even showing me and working on me to let me know that even if you have all of the natural resources that you need to make the next transition, if I don't show it to you, you still can't transition. So he was just showing me a lot of different things about me and teaching me at the same time to trust him in a way that I had not previously trusted him before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to get into the next part where you talk about key one is feelings don't matter. A lot of people get in their feelings.
Right.
Yes.
Blow the whole deal.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that is so true, because feelings go up and feelings go down. And if you try to live based on your feelings, you will never be stable. Yeah, you'll never be stable. And so you have to get to where you really do live by faith, you know, faith, trusting him one day at a time, you know, for that outcome that you saw up the road when you first started out on the transition. And you can't go by your feelings.
Yeah.
You have to live by faith.
That's it.
What actually happened as it relates to feelings for you to realize that they're really not important, especially when God is navigating things?
What happened is that I had to realize is that I was changing internally. And you cannot take action based off your feelings. You can take action and then require your feelings to catch up with the actions that you take. And that's what I learned in that process as well.
Feelings were not important. The action came first.
The action had to come first.
For you.
And then require my feelings
Right,
to catch up with my actions. Yeah. And that happened.
Yeah.
That happened.
Wow.
Yeah. So feelings really don't matter, because you can feel like doing the right thing. In most cases, we don't feel like doing the right thing, but we have to do the right thing
Yeah.
if we want the right outcome.
Yeah. It's all about faith.
All about faith.
It's all about faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk about don't miss what God has dismissed.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of times we spend a lot of time focusing on or dwelling on or
Yeah.
feeling bad about things that God has dismissed. And we know God, you know, he told, who was that? He told Joshua, my servant Moses is dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Get up. Then Jesus comes along and says, my friend Lazarus is dead.
Dead.
I'm glad
Yes.
for your sake.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So
That's powerful
kind of share with us how you make it to that point, that transition,
Yeah.
where you can focus more on going forward than what God dismissed.
It's interesting that you asked that. I was in Texas, Dallas, Texas, and I was in a meeting. And everywhere I went, I told everybody, he sold my house. My husband sold my house. You would not believe he sold my house. And I was telling the bishop that I was in the conversation with, I said, well, you know, Pastor Steve, he sold my house. And quickly, I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, if you keep claiming ties to the old house, I cannot give you the new house. So when I say stop missing what God has dismissed, if you want what God has ahead of you, then you have to let go of that which is behind you, no matter how hard it is, because words do matter. And so if you want to get to the next thing, then you have to let go of the old thing. So that's how I came to that revelation right there. And I said, no more. I would just say he sold the house. He's not my house. Because if I keep claiming that as my house, I would never get the house that was in store for me to get.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very important, regardless of what the situation is or something that somebody may be dealing with, having a hard time of letting it go. If you want to get the next thing, let go of the last thing. Because that's the quickest way to get to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of junk
Yeah.
hanging on us. We can't, get to the next step without removing that junk,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's how God works. He doesn't want us to allow the steps of faith
Yes.
to be bogged down with our own personal baggage.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
So he didn't want that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and I think
good.
these principles that you've laid out in the book can work in just about any situation, relationships, business,
They can.
as well as ministry.
They can.
And your point, a powerful point, and we find that the children of Israel, although their bodies were in one geographical
Yeah.
location, their minds were still in bondage.
In Egypt, yes.
Do you find that there's a lot of people that come into the church that are in that condition? Some make it out,
Yeah.
and then some don't.
I think that is absolutely true. And I think that is partially because of the unfamiliar. When you don't know what's ahead of you, then sometimes you're quick to resort to that which you're familiar with. When you're not sure of what the next thing is going to be like, then sometimes you begin to miss what that old thing was.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. These tools and principles that I put in this book is to help everybody live through it all. Every step of the process as it pertains to shifting or leaving one realm, going to another realm, leaving one place, going to another place, and it doesn't matter what it is, the principles and the tools are the same as you're transitioning. And yes, and so sometimes we do miss that which is behind us because we're not really sure as to what tomorrow looks like, and it becomes unfamiliar territory. But I would rather strive for what's up there than to die behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want to
Yeah.
die in the process.
Yeah, I don't want to die in the
No,
process.
that's good. And the tools you don't have,
Yes.
he gives them to you as you go.
He gives them to you as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a couple of minutes left. High point in ministry, low point.
High point in ministry and a low point. Do I get several low points?
There's probably more of those generally than the high ones.
Well, I tell you, the people are amazing. People are amazing. And when we see people as God sees people, we will understand that we are ourselves a major project. I know I am. I know I'm a major project. But one of the highest points in ministry for me was, I believe it was in 2010 when we got the loan to purchase our church, the facility that we're in right now. Living Water Fellowship Church started in 2008 at the time that it was said that the economy was in a recession. And so we were a new church, and when we went to the bank, everybody told us, or a lot of people told us, we would never acquire the loan. And yet God showed us that when you're right where I have called for you to be, I will give you the type of favor that makes no sense. And so we were able to acquire the loan and purchase our facility, and that was one of the highest times in ministry overall for me. One of the lowest times for me is when I had to bury several of my loved ones, and yet, and that was early as 2015 when I had to bury one of my young cousins, 25, and I was preaching in the pulpit, and my family was leaving out crying, only for me to find out after the service she had been killed instantly in a car wreck. And so I had to leave and go to the house, come back and preach because God told me, let the dead bury the the dead and you go back and you preach my word. And I went back to preach, and then I had to go to the morgue. And that was a very low time for me because I had had several relatives to pass. But God showed me his strength and his capability to hold me together. So
Yeah,
overall, it's been great.
yeah. And there'll be a lot of those.
Yeah.
Ups and downs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are the transitions.
But you have to live through it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Pastor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hopefully it won't be the last time.
I hope not.
All right.
Let's do it again.
We will.
And thank you for joining us on today and sharing your time with us. We really appreciate it. Please be sure to go to our YouTube channel, WHMB TV 40. Become a subscriber. You can watch this show and others that you might have missed. Have a great day. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
And I'm Faith McKinney, your producer.
What a wonderful interview with Pastor Kim Outlaw.
It was a very charismatic lady, very high-class lady, very spiritual lady.
Yeah, she's
good-
a powerhouse.
Yes.
She is. I had the pleasure and the privilege of attending one of her services, and boy, does she command a room. You know, sometimes as women, we take for granted that, you know, women just get things and maybe things are given to them. But, you know, with Pastor Outlaw, you know that she's earned everything she's gotten. And she's dynamic and very gifted.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't happen by accident.
And in her book, The Ups and Downs of Transition, the subtitle, Learn to Live Through It All.
I think that's good. Everybody that's watching this in Central Indiana will discover that all of us, if not today, but tomorrow, might have some transitions to deal with.
Yeah,
And some of the principles that she speaks of in her book, I think can help a lot of people.
yeah. And of course, being a senior pastor yourself, you can resonate. Of course, you've been pastoring quite a long time, as I have. And you do go through a lot of ups and downs, and as she said, sometimes it's like a roller coaster.
Right, right. She identified the highs and the lows. And you said, Brother Jackson, there's more lows than there are highs.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah, and I like what she said about people. And, you know, people are very, very unique in their own way,
Yeah.
which can make pastoring transitional.
I like what she said about it's all about faith. And
wow.
I think she was talking about me. What
Yes,
do you think?
I saw you react to
Faith.
that.
See, I'm just not making a connection.
But it's good to know that,
The whole show is about you.
It's all about faith.
yeah. And what's so ironic about it is that she's doing extremely well.
Yeah.
Her ministry is flourishing. And she's not only doing ministry, but she's doing ministry outreach. And her mission and work in Haiti sounds phenomenal. Many of us are familiar with the Convoy of Hope, and we're grateful that she's a part of that.
Yeah.
And I do like to say, plug Brother Jeffrey Johnson, kind of introduced Convoy of Hope to the city, and he's done an outstanding job with that, and she's a part of that now, according to what she just told us.
Yeah. And bringing a lot of pastors together to make an impact on what's going on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And hopefully the show has made an impact on you as well. And we're impacted by the fact that you watch each and every week, 5:30 on Sundays, 5:30 p.m. on Sundays, and 11 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday nights. And please be sure to go to YouTube at the WHMB TV 40 YouTube channel and subscribe to this program. You can watch this show and perhaps others that you might have missed over and over again. Again, thank you for being with us, and we hope to see you next time.